They ran human DNA against Predator Index. Humans scored higher than natural-born assassins. The research station hung in space like a silver flower, its metal petals reflecting the light of 3 distant suns. Dr. Minji Han pressed her hand against the window of the transport shuttle and watched it grow larger. 3 months ago, humanity had sent their first message into space and received an answer. Now she was here representing Earth at the Galactic Council's main research facility. Nervous? Daehyun Park asked from the seat beside her. The military liaison was young but had the calm eyes of someone who had seen combat. He wore his uniform perfectly, though Minji noticed his fingers tapped against his knee in a steady rhythm. Terrified, Minji admitted. She had spent 15 years studying genetics, but everything she knew was about Earth species. Now she would work with scientists who studied life forms from 1,000 different worlds. What if I mess this up? You won't, Yuna Kim said from across the aisle. The junior researcher had barely stopped smiling since they left Earth. This is the most exciting thing that has ever happened to humanity. We're meeting aliens. Real aliens. The shuttle docked with a soft thump. The airlock hissed open, and Minji got her first look at a real alien in person. Velshara stood in the corridor, her forearms folded in what might have been a formal greeting. Her scales were deep green with patterns of gold, and her eyes were large and dark. She stood at least 7 feet tall. Welcome, humans, Velshara said in perfect English, though her voice had a strange musical quality. I am lead scientist Velshara of the Vrin species. I will guide you through the membership process. They followed her through corridors that curved in impossible ways. Other aliens passed them in the halls. Minji saw creatures with fur, with feathers, with skin that looked like moving water. Some were small as children. Others had to duck through doorways built for giants. All new species must complete genetic analysis, Velshara explained as they walked. It is standard procedure. We need to understand your biology, your medical needs, and your place in the galactic ecosystem. Place in the ecosystem? Daehyun asked. Yes, some species are herbivores, some are omnivores, some are predators. This helps us prevent conflicts and arrange proper accommodations. Velshara's translator made it sound simple, routine. They entered a massive laboratory. Equipment that Minji didn't recognize filled every surface. Screens showed data in languages she couldn't read. A smaller alien worked at one station, its insect-like body moving with precise efficiency. This is Security Officer Thune, Velshara said. He oversees safety protocols. Thune turned to examine them. He had 4 arms as well, but his body was covered in dark chitin armor. His eyes were compound, reflecting light in strange ways. When he spoke, clicking sounds accompanied his words. Humans. You seem very small and soft. No natural weapons I can see, no armor. How did you survive on your world? Daehyun smiled. We're tougher than we look. We shall see, Thune replied, though his tone suggested doubt. The genetic sampling took an hour. Minji, Daehyun, and Yuna each provided blood, hair, and tissue samples. Velshara worked with careful precision, scanning each sample multiple times. She entered data into her computer system, with 2 hands while the other 2 prepared. Slides under microscopes. That looked nothing like Earth technology. The analysis will take approximately 1 standard hour, Velshara announced. Please rest in the observation room. I will call you when we have results. The observation room had windows that looked out into space. Yuna immediately pressed against the glass, pointing at different colored stars. Daehyun sat down and closed his eyes, apparently able to sleep anywhere. Minji tried to read a paper on galactic biology but couldn't focus. She kept thinking about her grandfather, who had been a farmer his whole life. He had never left their province, let alone Earth. Now his granddaughter was on a space station, waiting to see if humanity would be accepted into a community of alien species. The weight of it felt crushing. An alarm shattered the quiet. Minji jumped to her feet. Through the window into the laboratory, she could see Velshara staring at her computer screen. All 4 of her hands had frozen in midair. Thune moved quickly to her side. Daehyun was already at the door, but it was locked. He knocked hard against the metal. Is everything all right? Velshara didn't answer. She touched the screen, then touched it again. She said something in her own language, rapid and harsh. Thune responded, his clicking sounds faster than before. He moved to another computer and began running his own analysis. What's happening? Yuna whispered. I don't know, Minji said, but fear crept up her spine. Had their samples shown something wrong? Were humans incompatible with galactic biology? Would they be sent home in failure? 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Velshara ran the analysis again. And again. Minji counted 4 separate tests. Each time the alien scientist's body language became more agitated. Her scales seemed to darken. Her tail lashed back and forth across the floor. Finally, Velshara came to the observation room. She moved slowly as if her legs didn't want to carry her. When she opened the door, her large eyes fixed on Minji with an expression that was clearly fear. "There must be an error," Velshara said quietly. "The predator index shows impossible results. I will need to recalibrate all equipment." "What's the predator index?" Minji asked. "It measures predatory characteristics, hunting instincts, aggression patterns, killing efficiency. We use it to classify species on a scale from 1 to 10. Velshara's voice was steady, but her hands trembled. "Most species score between 2 and 5. Herbivores are lowest. Pure predators are highest." "What did we score?" Daehyun asked. Velshara hesitated. She looked back at Thune, who had followed her to the doorway. The insect warrior gave a small gesture with one clawed hand. "The Ket species currently holds the highest score among living species," Velshara said. "They are natural-born assassins. Perfect hunters. They score 8.9. In all of galactic history, only one extinct species scored higher. The Vrathel, legendary apex predators from the ancient times, scored 9.2. And humans?" Minji pressed. Velshara's voice dropped to barely a whisper. 9.7. According to this analysis, humans are the most dangerous predatory species ever recorded in the galactic database. The silence that followed felt like a physical thing. Yuna laughed nervously, then stopped when no one else joined in. Daehyun's face remained calm, but his posture had changed. He stood differently now, more aware of the aliens watching him. "That can't be right," Minji said. "Look at us. We don't have claws or fangs. We're not even particularly strong compared to Earth species. There are bigger predators on our own world." "That is why I believe there is an error," Velshara replied. "The results make no logical sense. I will report this to the council and request new equipment. We will retest tomorrow." She paused. "Until then, please remain in your quarters. For safety protocols." "Whose safety?" Daehyun asked quietly. Velshara didn't answer. She simply turned and walked away, her tail still moving in that agitated pattern. Thune remained in the doorway for a moment longer, his compound eyes studying each human carefully. Then he too departed, and the door locked behind him with a heavy click. The 3 humans stood in the observation room, alone with the stars, and a revelation that none of them understood. Somewhere in their DNA, in the code that made them human, was something that frightened aliens who had seen 1,000 different species. Minji returned to the window and looked out at the distant point of light that was Earth. Their home seemed very far away now, and the path back suddenly uncertain. They ran human DNA against predator index. Humans scored higher than natural-born assassins. The council chamber was designed to intimidate. Minji understood that the moment she walked through the massive doors. Seating rose in circular tiers, each level holding representatives from different species. Some seats held creatures she recognized from the station corridors. Others were occupied by beings she had never imagined. One appeared to be made of living crystal. Another existed as a cloud of glowing particles contained in a force field. At the center of the lowest tier sat Elder Ralkor, the Vryn who led the Galactic Council. He was older than Velshara, his scales faded to pale gray with age, but his eyes were sharp as he watched the humans enter. "Dr. Han, Mr. Park, Ms. Kim," Ralkor said, "thank you for attending this emergency session. We have questions about your species." Emergency session. The words made Minji's stomach clench. This was supposed to be a routine analysis. New species joined the galactic community regularly. What had changed? "We are happy to answer," Minji said, keeping her voice steady. "Velshara has reported her findings," Ralkor continued. "She ran your genetic analysis through the Predator Index 5 times using 3 different systems. All results were identical. Your species scores 9.7 on predatory characteristics." A ripple of sound moved through the chamber. Clicking, whistling, sounds that had no human equivalent. The representatives were talking among themselves. "We don't understand the significance," Minji admitted. "On Earth, humans are not the strongest predators. We don't have the tools that other species have." Physical tools are not the only measure, said a voice from the upper tier. Minji looked up to see a Ket warrior standing. She was female, her chitin armor decorated with marks that might have been battle scars or rank insignia. I am Shrika, Warrior Council representative. The Ket have held the highest predator rating for 3,000 years. We are born assassins. We train from birth in the art of killing. Yet you score higher than us. How? Before Minji could answer, the doors opened again. 2 more humans entered, escorted by Velshara. Minji recognized them immediately. Jiwan Li, the cultural anthropologist who had trained her before the mission, and Hyunwoo Choi, the medical doctor who had conducted the pre-flight examinations. Forgive the interruption, Velshara said, but the council requested human experts who could provide context for the genetic data. Ralcor gestured for them to join the others. Jiwan walked calmly to stand beside Minji. Hyunwoo looked pale but determined. Dr. Lee, Ralcor said, you study human culture and history. Perhaps you can explain why your species shows such extreme predatory characteristics. Jiwan took a breath. May I use the holographic display? Proceed. Jiwan pulled a data device from her pocket and connected it to the council systems. A 3-dimensional image appeared in the center of the chamber, rotating slowly. It showed Earth, blue and green and beautiful. Humans evolved on a world with thousands of predatory species, Jiwan began. We were not the strongest. We were not the fastest. We did not have claws or fangs or venom, but we had other advantages. The image changed, showing early humans running across a savanna. They carried primitive spears. We could run, Jiwan said simply. Not fast like a sprinting predator, but we could run for hours, days if necessary. We hunted by chasing prey until they collapsed from exhaustion. We call it persistence hunting. The hologram showed a human following an antelope. The antelope ran fast, disappearing over a hill. The human followed at a steady pace. Hours passed in seconds. The antelope appeared again, panting, exhausted. The human was still running, barely tired. Most predators on Earth hunt in bursts, Hyunwoo added. They sprint, they pounce, they kill quickly or give up. Humans never gave up. We tracked prey for days across entire continents. Murmurs filled the chamber. The Ket representative, Shrika, leaned forward with interest. This is unusual, she admitted. But endurance alone does not explain your score. Jiwan nodded. There's more. Humans are pack hunters. We cooperate in ways most predators don't. We share food. We teach our young complex hunting strategies. We use tools. The hologram changed again, showing the progression of human tools. Stone axes, spears, bows, guns, missiles, nuclear weapons. The chamber fell silent. We went from rocks to weapons that could destroy our entire world in 10,000 years, Jiwan said quietly. Most species take millions of years to develop space travel. Humans did it in less time than many species need to develop basic language. This is concerning, said the crystalline being from the upper tier. Its voice sounded like chimes. Rapid development suggests instability, danger. There's something else, Hyunwoo said. He looked uncomfortable. Human biology is designed for survival. Our immune systems can fight diseases that would kill most species. We can eat foods that are poisonous to other creatures. We can survive injuries that would be fatal to many aliens in this chamber. Show them, Jiwan said softly. Hyunwoo nodded. The hologram displayed a human skeletal system, then muscular system, then skin. Humans heal faster than most mammals on Earth. Broken bones knit back together. Cuts seal themselves. We can lose significant amounts of blood and survive. Our pain tolerance is extremely high because we evolved to keep fighting even when injured. You are describing a perfect predator, Ralcor said. His voice was heavy. Endurance, cooperation, tool use, rapid adaptation, and resilience to injury, combined with high intelligence and pattern recognition abilities. We also domesticated other predators, Jiwan added. She seemed determined to present everything honestly. Wolves were apex predators on Earth. Humans captured them, bred them, and turned them into dogs. We made predators into companions who would hunt with us and guard our children. That statement caused an uproar. Representatives from dozens of species began talking at once. The idea of capturing and genetically modifying another predator species shocked them. Shrika stood again. I demand proof. The Ket are warriors. We have trained for millennia. I do not believe these soft creatures could be more dangerous than us. We're not warriors, Daehyun said. He had been quiet until now. Most humans aren't. We're scientists, farmers, teachers, artists. We build things. We create art. We write poetry. Then how do you explain your predator rating? Shrika challenged. Because we can be both, Daehyun said simply. Humans have the capacity for great violence, but we also have the capacity for great kindness. We choose which one to express. Choice is not instinct, Shrika replied. Instinct is reliable. Choice is chaos. Perhaps that's what makes us dangerous, Minji said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. We're not predictable. We don't follow simple programming. Every human is different. We can adapt to any situation because we're not limited by instinct. Ralcor raised one hand and the chamber quieted. This council must deliberate. The evidence suggests that humans are indeed apex predators, despite their appearance. The question we must answer is whether such a species can be safely integrated into galactic society. What does that mean? Yuna asked, speaking for the first time. Her voice was small in the huge chamber. It means we will decide if humanity is allowed to leave Earth, Ralcor said, or if you must be quarantined for the safety of the galaxy. The words hit like a physical blow. Minji felt the ground shift under her feet. They had come here hoping to join a community of species, to learn and share and grow together. Instead, they might be imprisoned on their own world. We need proof, Shrika declared. Words and genetic data are not enough. I request a formal trial. Let humans compete against Ket warriors. Let us see if they truly deserve their predator rating. That could be dangerous, Velshara objected. If humans are as dangerous as the data suggests, then we will learn the truth, Shrika finished. The Ket do not fear combat, we welcome it. Ralcor considered this. His old eyes moved from the Ket warrior to the human standing in the center of the chamber. Very well. We will conduct controlled trials. 5 tests to measure different aspects of predatory capability. Dr. Han, do you accept these terms? Minji looked at Daehyun. The military liaison nodded once. They had no choice. If they refused, the council would make their decision based on fear alone. We accept, Minji said. Then we will begin preparations, Ralcor announced. This session is adjourned. As the representatives filed out of the chamber, Minji heard them talking in their various languages. Fear and curiosity mixed together. Some looked at the humans with open hostility now. Others seemed fascinated. Juwan came to stand beside Minji. I'm sorry, the older woman said. I tried to present the facts neutrally, but the truth is damning. You did the right thing, Minji replied. They needed to know what humans really are. The question is, Hyunwoo added, can we prove we're more than just predators? They left the council chamber together, 5 humans alone on a station full of aliens who now knew the truth. Somewhere in humanity's DNA was the code of a perfect hunter. The trials would determine whether that made them monsters or simply survivors. Minji hoped they could prove it was the latter. But deep down, she wasn't entirely sure herself. They ran human DNA against Predator Index. Humans scored higher than natural-born assassins. The arena was designed for combat. Minji stood in the observation box with Jiwon and Hyunwoo, watching as technicians prepared the floor below. Energy barriers hummed to life, creating boundaries for the fighting space. Medical stations lined the walls, ready for injuries. 2 more humans had arrived from Earth overnight. Seoyeon Kang was a combat specialist from the Korean military. Her movements precise and controlled as she stretched in the preparation area. Dongyun Nam was an endurance athlete who held 3 ultramarathon records. He sat quietly, breathing slowly, already in the mental space he needed for his trial. First trial begins in 5 minutes, Velshara announced through the communication system. Direct combat. Human participant Daehyun Park versus Ket champion Rixvan. Minji watched Daehyun enter the arena. He wore simple combat clothing, no armor or weapons. Across from him, Rixvan stepped through the opposite entrance. The Ket champion was massive, his chitin armor thick and dark. His forearms ended in claws that looked sharp as knives. Battle scars marked his body, proof of hundreds of fights. The size difference was obvious. Rixvan stood nearly 7 feet tall and probably weighed twice what Daehyun did. His natural armor would stop most attacks. His claws could tear through flesh easily. This isn't fair, Yuna whispered. No, Ji-won agreed. But Daehyun volunteered. He knows what he's doing. The starting signal sounded. Rixvan moved first, incredibly fast for his size. He closed the distance in seconds, all 4 arms reaching to grapple. But Daehyun wasn't where Rixvan expected. The human had moved sideways, forcing the Ket to adjust. They circled each other. Rixvan struck, his claws whistling through air. Daehyun ducked under the attack and responded with a kick to Rixvan's knee joint. The impact would have crippled a human. Rixvan barely flinched. He's analyzing, Hyunwoo said. Watch, he's testing for weak points. The fight continued. Rixvan landed a hit, his claws raking across Daehyun's shoulder. Blood appeared, bright red against his clothing. Minji gasped, but Daehyun didn't stop. He grabbed Rixvan's arm and used the momentum to throw the larger fighter off balance. They went to the ground. Rixvan's superior strength became obvious immediately. He pinned Daehyun, 3 arms holding him down while the 4th raised for a killing strike. Then stopped. This was a test, not an execution. Ket victory, the referee announced. Medical staff rushed in. Hyunwoo went down to examine Daehyun's shoulder. The wound was deep but clean. It would heal. Daehyun was already standing, breathing hard but smiling. He's fast, Daehyun said. Faster than I expected. But he telegraphs his attacks. There are ways to beat him. Rixvan approached, all 4 arms crossed in what might have been respect. You are tougher than you look, human. That claw strike should have disabled your arm, yet you kept fighting. We're good at ignoring pain, Daehyun replied. So I see. Rixvan turned to Shrika, who watched from her own observation box. The human scores well in resilience and tactical thinking, but physical strength favors the Ket. The second trial began an hour later. Soin faced a Ket warrior with matched energy staffs. The weapons were set to stun rather than kill, but impacts would still hurt. Seoyun moved differently than Daehyun. Where he had been careful and analytical, she was aggressive and unpredictable. She attacked from angles the Ket warrior didn't expect. She feinted left and struck right. She rolled under his guard and swept his legs. The Ket warrior adapted quickly. His forearms let him defend multiple directions at once. When Seoyun committed to an attack, he caught her with a counter-strike that sent her sprawling. But she was up immediately. No hesitation. She changed tactics, becoming defensive, making him come to her. When he overextended, she struck at his joints, at the gaps in his armor. Her staff cracked against his knee, his elbow, his throat. The match went on for 10 minutes. Both fighters were exhausted when it ended. The Ket warrior won on points, but barely. His armor was cracked in 3 places. Seoyun had a broken rib and multiple bruises, but she walked off the arena floor on her own. Impressive, Shrika admitted. She fights without honor, attacking weak points instead of meeting strength with strength. But she fights effectively. Humans don't have honor in combat? One of the other council members asked. We have honor, Seoyun replied, breathing carefully around her broken rib. But survival is more important. Dead people have no honor. The third trial was different. It took place in a wilderness preserve attached to the station, a controlled environment that mimicked natural terrain. 50 kilometers of forest, hills, and streams. The test was simple. Pursue and tag 3 Ket warriors who had a 1-hour head start. Dongyun stood at the starting line wearing running clothes and carrying only a water bottle. The 3 Ket warriors were fully equipped with supplies and equipment. They were faster, stronger, had better senses. This is impossible, one of the council members said. The Ket will maintain their lead easily. Just watch, Ji-won replied quietly. The starting signal sounded. Dongyun began to run. His pace was steady, not fast. The Ket warriors were already invisible in the distance, their head start giving them enormous advantage. The first hour passed. Dongyun maintained his pace, never slowing. The tracking system showed the Ket warriors 5 kilometers ahead. They were moving quickly, using their natural speed. The second hour passed. The Ket were still ahead, but their pace had slowed. Dongyun's pace hadn't changed at all. He ran like a machine, his breathing steady, his body cooling through sweat that evaporated in the air. How is he maintaining that speed? Belshara asked, studying the biometric data. His heart rate is elevated but stable. He's not in distress. Humans are endurance specialists, Yanwu explained. We evolved to run for hours, days if necessary. Our bodies are designed for it. The third hour showed the change. The Ket warriors had slowed to a walk. Their respiratory systems were struggling. They weren't designed for extended exertion. Dongyun was still running, had never stopped running. In the fourth hour, he caught the first Ket warrior. The alien was sitting against a tree, breathing heavily. Dongyun tagged him with the marker, checked to make sure he was okay, then continued running. Did he just help his opponent? Shrika asked, surprised. Humans are strange, Thun replied. They can be predators and protectors at the same time. Dongyun caught the second Ket in the fifth hour and the third in the sixth. All three Ket warriors were exhausted, their bodies unable to continue. Dongyun looked tired but could have kept going. The observation room was silent when he crossed the finish line. He had covered 50 kilometers in 6 hours, never stopping, catching 3 warriors who were faster and stronger than him. Persistence hunting, Jiwan said quietly. This is how humans became apex predators. We don't give up. Ever. The fourth trial was a tactical simulation. Teams of 5 faced each other in a virtual battlefield with objectives to capture. The human team consisted of Daehyun, Seoyun, and 3 Marines who had arrived with the second transport. The Ket team won the overall objectives, but the numbers told a different story. The humans used guerrilla tactics, ambushes, and psychological warfare. They set traps. They attacked supply lines. They struck from unexpected angles and disappeared before the Ket could respond. They don't fight like honorable warriors, one Ket complained. They hide and strike from shadows. They fight like predators, Rixvan corrected. Like hunters. The Ket fight like warriors. These are not the same thing. The final trial tested pure survival. Participants were dropped alone into a hostile environment without supplies. They had to survive for 3 days. Yuna volunteered, surprising everyone. She wasn't military or athletic. She was a researcher who spent her time in laboratories. But in the wilderness, she transformed. She found water within an hour by reading the landscape, recognizing patterns that indicated underground streams. She built shelter using materials around her, creating something weatherproof and insulated. She caught fish using a trap she improvised from sticks and vine. On the second day, she befriended a small native creature, earning its trust with patience and food scraps. The creature helped her locate edible plants and warned her of dangerous areas. The Ket participant was stronger, had natural armor, had enhanced senses. But he struggled with adaptation. When his initial strategy failed, he became frustrated. He couldn't adjust his thinking. Yuna survived all 3 days comfortably. The Ket participant required rescue on day 3 when he ate poisonous berries and became ill. She has no special abilities, Belshara said, watching the recordings. She is not trained for combat or survival, yet she succeeded through creativity and adaptation. That's the human advantage, Minji said. We're not specialized. We can do anything if we have to. We adapt or we die. So we adapt, the trials concluded. The council gathered to review the results. Humans had lost the direct combat tests, but they had won or performed unexpectedly well in endurance, tactics, and adaptation. Shrika stood before the council. I came here believing humans were weak. I was wrong. They are dangerous in ways the Ket are not. We are warriors. Humans are predators. These are not the same thing. Then you believe they deserve their rating? Ralkor asked. Yes, Shrika said. The predator index was... They ran human DNA against predator index. Humans scored higher than natural-born assassins. The emergency council session lasted 3 days. Minji and her team were not allowed to attend most of it. They waited in their quarters, watching news feeds that showed debates happening across the galaxy. The revelation about human predatory characteristics had leaked, and every species had opinions. Some called for humanity to be quarantined immediately. Others argued that predators had rights too, that capability for violence didn't equal intent to harm. The debates grew heated, sometimes angry. On the third day, they were summoned back to the council chamber. This time, more humans accompanied them. Ji-hoon Song, a historian with gray hair and tired eyes, carried a data tablet filled with human history. Suyano, an ethicist who had spent her career studying human morality, looked nervous but determined. The chamber was packed. Every seat was filled, and additional observers stood along the walls. Minji recognized some species from before, but others were new. Word had spread. The galaxy wanted to witness this decision. Ralcor called the session to order. We have reviewed the trial results. We have analyzed the genetic data. We have consulted with experts across the galaxy. Before we render judgment, we wish to hear from humanity's historians and ethicists. We need to understand not just what humans are, but why you are this way. Jihoon stepped forward. His movements were slow, measured. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of centuries. Humans are predators because our world made us that way. He began. Earth is a violent planet. Natural disasters, diseases, dangerous animals. For most of our history, humans lived on the edge of extinction. We survived by being smarter, tougher, and more stubborn than anything trying to kill us. He activated the holographic display. Images of Earth appeared, showing hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, floods. Then images of early humans, small groups huddled around fires, surrounded by darkness. We were prey first, Jihoon continued. Large predators hunted us. We were food for lions, for bears, for creatures that no longer exist because we drove them to extinction. We became predators out of necessity. Hunt or be hunted. Kill or be killed, a new representative stood. Minji hadn't seen this species before. They were small, covered in soft fur, with large eyes that suggested a herbivore species. When they spoke, their voice trembled. I am Krentha, representative of the pillow species. We know what it means to face predators. The Ket nearly destroyed us when we first met them. Billions of my people died before the Council intervened and civilized the Ket. If humans are worse than Ket, if they are apex predators, how can we trust them? How can we sleep knowing such creatures exist? The chamber fell silent. The fear in Krentha's voice was real and raw. Minji felt it like a knife to her heart. They were afraid. They had every right to be afraid. Suyon stepped forward. May I respond? Ralcor gestured permission. Krentha is right to be afraid, Suyon said quietly. Humans are dangerous. We have killed more of our own species than any predator ever killed of yours. We have fought wars that lasted decades, centuries. We have created weapons that could destroy entire planets. We have driven hundreds of species to extinction on our own world. Then you admit you are monsters, Krentha said. No, Suyon replied. We admit we have the capacity to be monsters, but we also have the capacity to be heroes. Every human has both inside them. We choose which one to be. Choice is not reliable, another representative argued. Choice is exactly what makes us reliable, Suyon countered. The Ket act on instinct. They are warriors because that's what their biology demands. Humans act on choice. We can be warriors when needed, but we can also be farmers, teachers, doctors, artists. We're not limited by our nature. We transcend it. An ancient voice spoke from the upper tier. Minji looked up to see an AI unit, its holographic form flickering with age. I am Olim. I have observed galactic civilization for 200,000 years. I have seen species rise and fall. I wish to offer perspective. Please proceed, Ralcor said respectfully. Every successful spacefaring species has predatory characteristics, Olim stated. Herbivores rarely develop the aggression necessary for space exploration. Pure predators often destroy themselves before achieving advanced technology. The species that succeed are those who balance predation with cooperation. The hologram shifted, showing data streams. The Ket score 8.9 on the Predator Index. They succeeded because they learned to cooperate with each other, and eventually with other species. The Vrin score 6.2. They succeeded through scientific curiosity and trade. The Pillow species score 2.1. They succeeded by forming alliances with stronger species for protection. And humans? Ralcor asked. Humans score 9.7 in predatory characteristics. But they also score 9.1 in cooperative behavior. This combination has never been observed before. They are simultaneously the most dangerous and the most cooperative species in the galactic database. How is that possible? Shrika asked. Humans developed empathy as a survival trait, Olim explained. They hunted in packs, which required cooperation. They raised children together, which required caring for offspring that weren't their own. They domesticated other species, which required understanding non-human minds. They are predators who learn to care about their prey. That makes no sense, another council member objected. It makes perfect sense for humans, Jihoon interjected. We cry at sad movies. We keep predators as pets and love them like family. We create nature preserves to protect species we once hunted. We write poetry about the beauty of creatures we used to eat. We contain contradictions. We are capable of great cruelty, Suyon added. But we are also capable of great compassion. We know our own darkness. We've spent thousands of years creating philosophies, religions, and laws to control our violent impulses. We teach our children that violence is wrong. We punish those who harm others. We actively work against our own nature. Why should we believe you? Krentha asked. Words are easy. Actions matter, Minji stood. She hadn't planned to speak, but something in Krentha's fear compelled her. You're right. Words aren't enough. So let me show you actions. She connected her own data device to the holographic system. Images appeared. Human doctors treating injured animals. Conservation efforts saving endangered species. International aid organizations feeding the hungry. Parents protecting children who weren't biologically theirs. Firefighters running into burning buildings to save strangers. These are also humans, Minji said. We save lives. We protect the weak. We sacrifice ourselves for others, even for other species. Yes, we're predators, but we choose to be protectors too. You have killed billions of your own kind, someone pointed out. Yes, Minji admitted. And we remember every war. We teach our children about the horrors we've committed so they won't repeat them. We built monuments to our victims. We created international laws against genocide. We try every day to be better than we were. The question is not whether humans are dangerous, Ralcor said. Clearly they are. The question is whether they can control their danger. Whether they will choose peace over violence when given the opportunity. We have nuclear weapons, Daehyun said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. We've had them for almost 300 years. We could have destroyed ourselves dozens of times. We came close several times, but we didn't. We chose not to. We created treaties, agreements, safeguards. We choose peace every single day, even though war is in our nature. Shrika stood. The Ket understand warriors. We respect strength. These humans have proven they are strong, but strength alone is not enough for trust. She paused. However, they have also shown restraint. In the trials, they could have seriously injured my warriors. They had opportunities. But they held back. They helped opponents who were down. They showed mercy when they didn't have to. What are you saying? Ralcor asked. I am saying that predators who choose mercy are more trustworthy than those who have no capacity for violence, Shrika replied. The Ket know what we are. We accept it. Humans also know what they are. They also accept it. And they try to be better. That should count for something. Thune clicked his agreement. I have observed the humans closely. They are dangerous, yes. But they are also curious, friendly, and helpful. Security Officer Park helped me repair equipment even though it wasn't his responsibility. Researcher Kim shared her food with junior staff members from other species. Dr. Choi stayed late to help with medical bay organization. These are not the actions of mindless predators. More representatives spoke. Some remained fearful. Others were cautiously optimistic. The debate continued for hours. Finally, Ralcor raised his hand for silence. The council will now deliberate in private. We will announce our decision tomorrow. The humans were escorted back to their quarters. They sat together in silence, too exhausted for words. Outside their windows, the galaxy spun on, indifferent to their fate. Minji thought about her grandfather again, the farmer who never left home. She wondered what he would think of his granddaughter now, fighting for humanity's future in a room full of aliens, trying to prove that predators could also be people. Tomorrow, they would have their answer. They ran human DNA against Predator Index. Humans scored higher than natural-born assassins. The council chamber felt different when Minji entered the next morning. The tension from before had transformed into something else, something she couldn't quite identify. Representatives sat quietly in their seats, watching as the humans filed in. Ralcor stood at the center, his old scales catching the light. He held a data tablet in two of his hands, the official record of the council's decision. Dr. Han, Mr. Park, and all human representatives, Ralcor began. The Galactic Council has reached a decision regarding humanity's application for membership. Minji held her breath. Beside her, Yuna gripped her hand tightly. The Council acknowledges that humans are apex predators with unprecedented capabilities for violence. The Predator Index score of 9.7 is accurate and concerning. However, the Council also acknowledges that humans demonstrate cooperation, empathy, and self-awareness that suggests they can control their predatory nature. Ralcor paused. Therefore, the Galactic Council grants humanity provisional membership with a new designation: Apex Species Status. This is a classification created specifically for your kind. It comes with both privileges and restrictions. Relief flooded through Minji. Membership. They had membership. What restrictions? Daehyun asked carefully. Human military expansion will be monitored, Ralcor explained. For the first 50 years, humanity may not establish military bases outside your home system without council approval. Human weapons technology will be reviewed regularly, and human citizens living in galactic territory will be subject to additional behavioral monitoring. We understand, Minji said. The restrictions were fair given the circumstances. 50 years was nothing compared to permanent quarantine. However, Ralcor continued, humans will have full access to galactic trade networks, educational exchanges, and diplomatic relations. You will have a seat on the council, and your scientific contributions will be welcomed. Thank you, Minji said. The words felt inadequate for the magnitude of what had just happened. There is one more thing, Ralcor added. The council recommends a cultural exchange program. Young humans will live among other species, and young aliens will live among humans. We believe understanding will reduce fear. 3 weeks later, the first exchange students arrived. Minho Shin was 19 years old, nervous and excited in equal measure. He carried a single bag of belongings and a head full of questions. Minji watched him meet his Vrin host family. The young Vrin children were initially scared of the human, but Minho sat on the floor at their level and showed them pictures of Earth. Within an hour, they were laughing together, the children's fear forgotten. Similar scenes played out across the station. Human students arrived and integrated into alien societies. They learned new languages, tried new foods, made friends with beings who looked nothing like them. There were problems, of course. Cultural misunderstandings happened. A human's habit of showing teeth when happy frightened some species who saw it as a threat display. Humans struggled with alien customs they didn't understand. But slowly, carefully, bridges were built. 6 months after the council's decision, Minji stood in the medical bay watching Hyunwoo work. He was training 3 alien doctors in human emergency medicine. His students came from different species, each with different biologies, but they all listened intently as he explained human anatomy. The thing about humans is they don't give up, Hyunwoo was saying. Even when they're badly injured, their bodies keep fighting. You need to account for that. They'll survive things you expect to kill them. Is that the predator biology? One student asked, partially, Hyunwoo admitted. But it's also psychology. Humans have this thing we call stubbornness. We refuse to quit. It drives our biology and our behavior. Elsewhere on the station, Daehyun and Thun had become regular training partners. They developed new combat techniques that blended Ket precision with human adaptability. Other warriors from different species joined their sessions, curious about human fighting methods. You fight dirty, Thun observed one day, not as a criticism but as a fact. We fight to win, Daehyun replied. There's no honor in losing. The Ket once believed honor in combat was everything, Thun admitted. We started wars over insults. We nearly destroyed ourselves before learning that survival matters more than pride. Perhaps humans already understand this lesson. Yuna published her first paper on cross-species cooperation. It became required reading in galactic universities. She was invited to give lectures about human adaptability and problem-solving. At one lecture, a student asked her if humans were really as dangerous as the Predator Index suggested. Yes, Yuna answered honestly. We are, but danger isn't the same as evil. A knife is dangerous, but you use it to prepare food. Fire is dangerous, but you use it to stay warm. Humans are dangerous, but we use that danger to protect what we care about. In the council chambers, Yoonji Yoon was appointed as humanity's first official ambassador. She was 48 years old, had spent 20 years in diplomatic service, and understood how to navigate complex political situations. Her first major action was proposing a joint research station where humans and aliens could work together on scientific problems. The proposal was approved and construction began on a facility that would house researchers from 20 different species. Not everyone was happy with human integration. There were protests on some worlds. Fear didn't disappear just because the council had made a decision, but slowly perceptions began to change. A human medical team responded to a plague outbreak on a Vryn colony world. The disease was spreading rapidly and local doctors were overwhelmed. The humans worked 20-hour days, using their knowledge of Earth diseases to develop treatments. They saved thousands of lives. Human engineers solved a critical problem with a space station's life support system. The aliens who managed the station had followed the instruction manual exactly, but couldn't understand why it wasn't working. The humans looked at the problem differently, found an unexpected solution, and fixed it within hours. Human artists created works that resonated emotionally across species barriers. A piece of music composed by a human brought a Ket warrior to tears. She said it reminded her of her childhood, though she couldn't explain why. Belshara published her complete research on human biology. The paper was thousands of pages long and became the foundation for xenobiology studies across the galaxy. In her conclusion, she wrote something that surprised many readers. Humans are apex predators with capabilities that exceed any species in our records. They are dangerous in ways we are still discovering. However, they are also uniquely positioned to bridge gaps between different species types. Their empathy extends beyond their own kind. Their adaptability allows them to understand perspectives very different from their own. Their stubbornness means they don't give up on problems others would abandon. Yes, they are predators, but perhaps the galaxy needs predators who choose to protect rather than destroy. One evening, Minji found herself in the station's observation deck with several alien colleagues. They were watching Earth, the blue planet visible in the distance. A young pillow researcher named Kiva sat beside her. The small furry being had been terrified of humans at first, but now worked in Minji's laboratory. "Are you really as dangerous as everyone says?" Kiva asked quietly. Minji considered the question carefully. "Yes, humans can be very dangerous. We've done terrible things to each other and to other species on our world. That capacity for violence is always inside us. Does that scare you?" "Sometimes," Minji admitted. "But being aware of it helps. We know what we're capable of, so we can choose not to do those things. We can choose to be better." "I was taught to fear predators," Kiva said. "On my world, predators were things that ate us. We survived by hiding, by running, by being afraid." "That's a valid survival strategy," Minji replied. "But you're different," Kiva continued. "You're a predator, but you helped me when I dropped my equipment. You shared your food with me. You teach me with patience. You're not what I expected." "Because I choose not to be," Minji said. "That's the human gift and the human burden. We get to choose who we are every single day." Months turned into a year. Minho Shin became fluent in 3 alien languages and was writing a thesis on comparative philosophy. Seoyun opened a training academy that taught self-defense to species who had never needed it before. Dongyun organized the first multi-species marathon, where athletes from a dozen worlds competed in a test of endurance that humans won, but everyone celebrated. The cultural exchange program expanded. More humans left Earth. More aliens visited humanity's homeworld. Understanding grew, slowly but steadily. One day, Minji received a message from an unexpected source. Tarvin, an elder Ket warrior, requested a meeting. She knew of him by reputation. He was old, had fought in 100 battles, and was considered one of the wisest members of Ket society. They met in a quiet garden on the station, a space maintained by the pillow species where plants from different worlds grew together. "Dr. Han," Tarvin said in greeting, "I wanted to speak with you about predators and choices." "I'm listening," Minji replied. "The Ket were once like humans might have been," Tarvin said. "We were apex predators. We conquered everything we encountered,